How you doing, everybody? It's Sunday the 3rd of January 2010, and as you can see, I've stuck a little photograph up on the web about for this little posting on CATHAL DALY, and he's the retired cardinal, and they're going to bury him very shortly. And the reason I'm particularly fascinated by this man is I share a lot of a certain amount of early commonality with this man, certainly from my own early childhood and through the educational process, etc. But that's not the real reason. It's just there is a certain fascination about this man and how a man with his intellectual brilliance can do what he did. Now, they're about to bury him, and they're giving obituaries all over the place, and they're eulogising this man as he's been called here by within the Irish Times. The obituary calls him a bit of an old saint. Okay, and the heading of the obituary is an intellectual force within the church who abhorred violence. So I'm here to challenge that lie, to say that he may have abhorred IRA violence, but he certainly didn't abhor the violence within his own church, conducted on a daily basis against thousands and thousands and thousands of children all throughout the world who are raped and sodomized by underlings of him and his contemporaries. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about 1994, Albert Reynolds' government, a coalition government in direct conflict with the Roman Catholic Church, and what happened. Yeah, I don't want to really labour this point, but anyway, this is the second man. We all know who he was, right? He was a hockey acolyte and heavily involved in beef tribunal machinations, etc. But anyway, he headed up a sovereign government. And what happened was, as I say, in 1984, a collision course was set between his government and the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, this is the third man that is involved in this business, this shenanigans that went on in 1984, and it kind of centres around him, but he's not the main player, as I said before. He's just the guy who carried out all these hundreds and hundreds of rapes and crimes relating to sodomizing children. But as I say, in relation to the bigger crime, he only played a minor role in the whole affair. Yeah, there were two other players in this fiasco that went on, and this big power struggle. It wasn't a fiasco, so it was a power struggle, and their names were the Attorney General, who sat in a cabinet meetings, a man called Harry Wheelahan, a barrister, Dublin barrister, and the senior civil servant who worked within, he was the Attorney General, Harry Wheelahan. So the senior civil servant who worked in the Attorney General's department, he was a man called Matt Russell. Okay. Now what happened was, a huge number of the crimes, the rapes and sodomizing of children that this man Brenton Smith did occurred up directly under CATHAL DALY's bailiwick in the diocese of Down and Connor. Alright, the RUC were notified, and the RUC in 1990, I think it was 3, initiated proceedings to have him extradited from wherever he was holed up in one of the Norbertine orders buildings in the Republic of Ireland. Okay, so what happened was, physically, a demand, habeas corpus, give us the body, would have been sent down to the Attorney General's office here. Alright, that's what we want. We give us demand type thing, okay, from the RUC. And what happened is, it sat for months, 7 months I believe, it sat on this man Matt Russell's desk, and everybody was passing the buck and saying it was wasn't within their bailiwick. It wasn't a problem, like, you know, somebody else's fault. So this saga just went on and on and on, and eventually what happened was it came out into the public domain, because obviously the RUC were not happy with it, processing a basic extradition order, and it takes 7 months. I don't think so. So in the background we have all sorts of allegations made, and the allegations basically allege that CATHAL DALY wrote to Harry Wheelahan and to other members of the Reynolds government and asked them to put a stop on this extradition. Because it would not have been read nice. It doesn't read very nice on your CV if you're in charge of a diocese and all of a sudden hundreds of children are getting raped and sodomized. And you're the man, it's your shout. You're the captain at the wheel. So anyway, what happened was it leaked out to the Labourites that were in coalition with, and I think some of the PDs, I think the PDs were in coalition as well. But it leaked out to the Labourites anyway, under this fella Spring. And he threw the ball up in the air and said, that's it, it's all over. So, there's obvious questions to answer, and they're dead simple. I mean, it's obviously Albus Day was at work, you know what I mean? It's just dead simple. It's not rocket science. The religious fervour of all of three of these men, there's no doubt about it. One was a child molester, one was a Taoiseach, and the other three were raving Catholics. Okay? And their whole belief system is up for challenge because of this. So it doesn't take rocket science to work out what went on, you know what I mean? But the bottom line about it is, I am stunned at the naivete of Albert Reynolds. Because if it had been me, and I had been the sovereign Taoiseach of the day, everybody concerned with that, Father Brendan Smith, the Attorney General, the civil servant, well, they were the main players. Okay, like you couldn't obviously stick CATHAL DALY because he's in a different jurisdiction. Those three men have been in the Pokey Joe that night, Pokey Joe, or at least house arrest. Okay, and they weren't going anywhere because a state of emergency would have to be declared. Because this is conspiracy to bring down a state. This is conspiracy to challenge a state, and all you have to do is go on the TV that night or the following night after the news. 10 minutes slot. Sorry, Special Powers Act. Job. 10 minutes we need. Broadcast this statement. Hello, I'm your Taoiseach, and I've been blackmailed by members of my cabinet and by members of the Catholic Church. And spell it all out. Just say it like it is. And then go to the people. Say, we're going to have an election within the next month. And go to the people. See what happens then. Of course you're going to be elected, aren't you, back on a landslide? But for whatever reason, Albert Reynolds chose not to go that route. And in the big interface between the Catholic Church and the state, the Catholic Church crushed the state. On that day. I'm getting paid back slowly but surely now. But then you read all this media stuff about this guy, this CATHAL DALY man, and all of a sudden he's a saint. As I say, some bishop, some cardinal, some saint.